Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Yolanda Hayes and I am a local real estate agent in North Carolina, Winston-Salem and Charlotte market. So today's topic is going to be for sellers, people that are trying to sell their home in today's market. Right now, we are in a tough, funny market here in the Winston-Salem Triad area, as well as Charlotte. But I want to sit here and talk to you guys about 4 ways that your listing agent that you hired could be the reason that your home is not selling. So the very first way or reason that your listing agent could be ruining your sale is the commission. I know that this is a tough conversation to have. I know this is the big elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, that's very sensitive, but we have to talk about it. Right now, with the National Association Realtor lawsuits that occurred last year. And if you did not know, a lot of people, I'm starting to find out a lot of people didn't know about these lawsuits, but I have talked about them on my channel here on YouTube, and I will go ahead and leave them up in the cards. There was a lawsuit in 2024 where a lot of sellers banded together, feeling as if their commission was being kind of fixed and it wasn't negotiable. Well, it really didn't affect North Carolina that much, but this lawsuit started in another state and then it kind of trickled all over the United States, where sellers are like, we thought, we had to pay the rate that they told us, and not realizing that it was negotiable. With that being said, now a lot of sellers are saying, hey, we don't want to pay a buyer agent too. If the 6% that we have been paying, and this is what they were saying, they were unaware that when a listing agent gives them a price for listing services, that amount was split between the listing agent or listing firm and the buyer agent. So now a lot of sellers are saying, hey, well, we didn't know that some of the money that we're paying your firm, you're splitting it with the buyer agent. The buyer agent doesn't work for me, so why should I pay the buyer agent? Well, this is how your listing agent may be keeping your home sitting on the market. The listing agent may not be sharing with you or conveying with you or communicating with you the importance of a buyer agent. The buyer agent is who's going to bring you the buyer. If your home is still sitting on the market and no one is bringing anyone to come see it, then your house is just going to sit there. And that's exactly what happened when this lawsuit happened. A lot of sellers were like, well, we're not going to pay a buyer agent. Well, okay. Then they started noticing homes were just sitting for weeks and weeks and weeks because buyer agents were not bringing the buyers. Now here in Winston-Salem, we had some people that wanted to play that Russian roulette and put their house on the market with 0 to the buyer agent. And they had to learn the hard way that buyer agents are not going to work for free. And buyers are not going to buy a house. Yes, you can purchase a home without a real estate agent, but is it wise? If you have no knowledge about the real estate market or no knowledge about real estate contracts, is that wise? So no, buyers are going to go ahead, hire their real estate agent, and only want to view homes that the seller is going to pay their agent. So what you want to do is understand your contracts when you are hiring a listing agent. Ask the listing agent what is their firm wanting. If their firm is saying, well, we still want 5% or we still want 6%, that is not right. So that is how your agent could be ruining your listing because they are being greedy. Okay, everything is negotiable, and the standard, there really is no standard, but for decades, let's just talk about it, because again, I'm going to leave the videos up in the cards of what has been in the past, going on in the past. The standard, I've been in business 18 years, and this has been the standard for me and the standard within the community. It just changed in 2024, and it's kind of like we've always had a 6% listing charge, okay? Every single firm has their own fees. Every real estate firm that I've worked with has been anywhere between 6 and 7%, and then that amount is split between the buying firm and the selling firm. So you want to, that's how it's been. And to now make that change and say, hey, we're gonna give you 0 on the buyer side. Well, your house is just gonna keep sitting there. So what I'm saying about your listing agent is your listing agent is not really communicating to you that that's not a good idea. So paying even a portion of the buyer agent commission would help out, at least anywhere between 2.5 up to the 3%, which is the maximum amount. If the listing fee is 6%, you're paying 3 on both sides, okay? You're paying your agent that's working on your behalf, and you're paying the buyer agent that's working on their behalf. And let me just explain this. I have buyers that are strapped, okay? They have spent their last dollar trying to get into homes. Why? Because they have to come up with so much money. They have to have a down payment, which is anywhere between 3.5 to 5% of the sales price of your home. They also have to have closing costs, which is another 2.5% of the cost of your home. Then they have to pay for an appraisal. They have to pay for a home inspection and a number of other things that they have to pay for. And now on top of that, now they have to worry and figure out how they're going to pay their agent. Now in the past, this wasn't an issue. This wasn't an issue for a buyer. They didn't have to come up. It was not their expense. So now that it is their expense, what they're doing is telling their buyer agent up front, do not show me any properties. Don't show me any houses if the seller is not paying your commission. So you are cutting people from viewing your home in half because you are not paying a buyer agent commission. Another thing that a lot of buyers are doing today is going with new construction. If sellers are not willing to pay an agent, guess what? New construction builders are paying real estate agents to bring them buyers in. So you have competition, and I don't know that a lot of listing agents are communicating this to their sellers. I personally make sure that I explain all of this to my sellers so they know up front, listen, you have competition with new construction builders that are willing to pay a buyer agent the full 3%, and you have other sellers that understands the importance of a buyer agent because that's who's bringing the buyer to you. So if your agent is not letting you know, it may not be a good decision not to pay a buyer agent. That could be ruining your listing and why it is still sitting on the market. The second way that your listing agent could be ruining your listing is the lack of communication that they have with other agents. If they are not answering the phone, if they're not answering text messages or emails, specific questions about your listing, that could be a reason why you're not getting any offers. Now, I know that a lot of people think real estate agents work full time. Believe it or not, guys, there are not that many full-time agents. You want to make sure when you decide to hire an agent, you want to make sure that you ask them if they work a full-time job. There are several agents that are in this business that work full-time jobs, and they are not able to answer their phone while they're at work. So for 8 hours, they're not answering questions about your listings. I had a family come in town recently. They were out of town buyers that were looking to buy here. And we probably looked at about 5 properties, and at least 2 of those 5 properties, I had to call the listing agent to ask questions, and we are still waiting. We are still waiting. We have not heard back from these agents. One house, this seller the buyer really wanted to submit an offer on the house, but they had a very important question to ask, and they still, the agent, even by text, I am still waiting. Again, this was a couple weeks ago. This was about 2 weeks ago that this family was in town, and I still have yet to hear from that agent. And now my clients went on ahead and moved on to another house. Now, I understand, don't get me wrong, I completely understand when an agent has to work a full-time job. I myself, my first few years in the business, until I was able to grow and build up my business, I was working a full-time job. But I used my lunch and my breaks to call agents back. I wanted to make sure that I definitely answered all the questions to get the house sold and make sure that I am working in my best interest of my client. The third reason that your listing agent could be ruining your business is because they have a bad reputation in the real estate community. Okay, and what I mean by that is the agent that you hired, they may be aggressive, they may be cocky, they may be combative, and they also may be scammers and liars. Yes, we deal with this even in this business. Some agents just do not play well with other agents, and you want to make sure that the agent that you're listing your house with has a good reputation with other real estate agents. I'm going to tell you myself, I have a few agents, I can count on one hand, that I refuse to show their listings because I've had a bad interaction with them, whether they were nasty to me or they were just flat out liars or they were just unethical. We have several agents that have been under, either in jail, they have been fined, they have had their license put on probation, or they have completely lost their license because of how bad they have been doing illegal things. So you want to make sure that you are getting an agent that plays well with other people and get along with other people. So definitely ask for maybe a reference or references from other agents to say that this agent works well with you, because we've had so many difficult issues. So I just want to tell a quick little story about the couple that was just in town from out of town and what happened. I had an agent a listing agent. I was on my way to show the property, and I noticed that in the showing services, it says that the instructions to get into the home were not there. It was not provided. So when I scheduled the showing, it says that the lockbox code was not provided. I simply gave the listing agent a call. He did not answer. So therefore I sent a text and I said, hey, I'm on my way to your showing, to the showing. Here's my name. Here's the real estate agent I work, the real estate agency I work for, X, Y, and Z. I need the code to get into the house. His response was, we have had several showings on that property and no one else has had issues getting into the property. I have my clients with me. We're standing out in front of this house and I can't get in. That was the response that I got from that agent. Instead of the agent just simply giving me the code, he wanted to, I guess, reprimand me, I don't know. So I'm like, you could just give me the code. So what I did was took a screenshot of the listing services notes where it said that the instructions were not provided. I sent him a screenshot of it and he says, oh, my bad, I don't know what's going on, I'm so sorry, here's the code. So he gave me the code and he said, I'll look into it. But why be combative? Why not just give me the code? This is the type of agent you don't want, because they are going to rub another agent another way. I'm in front of my clients. What am I gonna do? Tell my client, I'm sorry, I can't let you see this house because the agent doesn't want to give me the code? No, you want to make sure that you're working with an agent that is going to be kind to other agents and answer questions. I have many other stories. Just for example, let me just tell you about the one that was that sold this house. Okay, my husband and I bought this house. Now at the time we were just dating, so the agent did not know we were a couple, nor that I have to disclose that we were a couple. We were just girlfriend and boyfriend at the time. But just to make a long story short, he is no longer in the business. He was basically stealing money from the sellers. The sellers were already moved out. The sellers, this was a vacant home when we moved in here. They had already moved to another state, and they trusted their listing agent to basically represent them when he was really stealing from them behind the scenes. Again, that's a whole nother story, but I had to file a report to the board of what happened. And sure enough, he had already had other agents before me report him to the board. And instead of, basically what happened is they put him on probation, but apparently he got in trouble again. Okay, apparently he got in trouble again, and his license were completely taken. Now I refused, even before I knew his license was taken, I refused to show any more of his listings. Because if you're shady and a liar and shysty, why would I want to work with you, or why would I want my buyers to basically end up into some mess because you were lying? We literally had to find these sellers. Again, the sellers were already gone. The sellers had moved on to another state, already had bought a new house, etc. We had to find them on Facebook. My husband had to find the seller on Facebook and let him know, hey, did you know that your agent here in North Carolina is doing X, Y, and Z? They had no clue. And what their agent was doing would have and could have landed them in a lawsuit. So they found out that the agent was doing, again, I can't get too much into it because it was a board situation, but when you want to make sure that your agent is not someone who is unethical and shady and shysty. Now, because this particular agent cannot practice real estate, he owns a real estate company. Therefore, he had to bring in multiple agents under his firm. And guess what? I still refuse to show any of his listings because you are learning. The new agents that are coming in under his firm, you're learning from him, possibly to also be shady and shysty and unethical. So again, this could be a reason why your listing is still sitting on the market if your agent does not have a good reputation within the realtor commission. I mean, the realtors community. The fourth and last reason that your listing agent could be ruining your listing is because they do not have a team in place. As far as a team of contractors, you want someone who has a team ready and on call for when your home is ready to go live on the market. A photographer, a professional photographer, someone who is going to measure the home. And there are a number of things. House cleaners. You have to make sure that the agent that you are going to hire is going to put your home best foot forward on the market. You guys don't understand how many homes that I see on the market where the agent used their cell phone to take the photos. We can tell, okay? We can tell if it was a cell phone or if a professional took the photos. So you'll see the picture, somebody's finger is in the picture, or they don't have the phone turned the right way, etc. They're not getting their own measurements. They're not verifying the tax records. They're not doing anything. And they are, just putting, the stuff that I see in MLS where I'm seeing homes that have dishes in the sink, like the pictures are put online with dishes in the sink, clothes on the bed. It's just a mess. Like, it baffles me how, agents are even putting their names on listings like this. I would never, ever, ever. I have a cleaning staff that goes into my client's home and clean their homes. We make sure your home is perfection, okay? And I have a professional photographer and a professional appraiser, a licensed appraiser that will measure the house, because you will and can get sued if your agent is advertising incorrect measurements. You can get sued for that. That is false advertisement. So you want to make sure that your agent has a team in place to make sure that they are listing your home in the best conditions as possible. So those are the 4 reasons or 4 ways your listing agent could be ruining your listing. Make sure, again, I'm gonna just go through them again. So again, number 1, commissions. Just make sure that your agent is communicating, you know, the pros and cons of paying a buyer agent. Number 2, working a full-time job, or they are just so busy that they're not able to answer phone calls. Please make sure you are asking your listing agent to return phone calls, because you could have very well gotten an offer, but your agent didn't respond or your agent didn't answer. So those are things. And then you want to make sure, number 3, that you are hiring an agent that has a good reputation with other real estate agents. And how you would know is just ask around. Have you heard of this agent? And also you can ask again for references to see what other agents have to say about them. And number 4, just making sure that your listing agent is educating you on how to properly list your home, making sure your home is clean, making sure they have a professional team in place to get your house listed for the market so that your home can sell quickly. So again, I am Yolanda Hayes. I am a real estate agent here again in Winston-Salem with ERA Live More. Please, if you are thinking or considering listing your home in this area, please give me a call. I would love to meet with you and have a conversation with you on the proper way to list your home. And make sure you leave a comment down below if you've had any bad experiences with listing your homes, or you have any questions. Please list them down below. Give me a call, give me a follow, and I will see you guys in the next video. And make sure you subscribe to my channel for more information on how to buy or sell real estate. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.